Well, good morning from Europe. This is Sahura, and today is Thursday, August 29. We're going to be with you to review the economic calendar, what we had so far yesterday, and what we had yesterday and today so far, and what we expect from today's economic calendar and data. Yesterday, we had industrial production data from Italy. Slightly industrial production rebounded in Italy, while in the Eurozone sentiment slipped. Economic sentiment, European economy doesn't act so well. In South Africa, PPI, Producer Price Index, slightly increased to 1.5%, by 1.5%, while previous month in July it was only 0.7%. In India, industrial production and manufacturing production both increased, showing that Indian economy is moving forward much better than expected. And estimates at the beginning of the year, we talked too much about the industrial product, generally about the economic condition in India, and we told that economy in India, Brazil, Mexico, these are the economies that we have to talk in more about them and watch them more closely. In Brazil, inflation increased slightly in August, which means that the probably Central Bank of Brazil, or BCB, Brazil Central Bank, would hold the interest rate at the current rate after previous month's 25 basis point rate cut. In Mexico, unemployment rate held steady at 2.6%. Amazing. That shows that the labor market in Mexico is still fine and great. U.S. jobless claims fell initial jobless claims fell to 229K, down from previous 235K, while these data shows that the labor market is strong. However, the 4-week average increased slightly to 228,000 from previous 226, but still so low. As long as unemployment, the claims for job unemployment benefits, still, as long as it's still under 250,000, means that the labor market is doing fine in US, in the United States. US inflation for the second quarter cools. Core PC price index fell to 2.5%, while the headline fell to the headline PC slowed to 2%. That means that the US inflation is somehow under control, especially in the second quarter. While in the third quarter, we can see some signs of increasing, and we should be a little bit more careful about that. GDP at the same time increased by 3.3%. I mean, the GDP amazing in the second quarter. That means after first quarter 0.5% fall, GDP is doing amazing. Core profits rebounded by 0. In the second quarter, rebounded by or increased by more than 2%, while the previous quarter it fell by almost 3.3%. Generally, the US business is doing amazing with these data. So even thought if we have some weakening data, the US economy is still strong. In Canada, wages grow while the account deficit, the government account deficit slightly weakened, but that shows that generally the Canadian economy giving very mixed signals, very, very mixed signals. We have to be a little bit more careful. That probably means that Canadian Central Bank, BOC, will hold the current interest rate and will be more careful before making any new decision. South Korea industrial production, these are data that published so far today. These data shows that the South Korean industrial production also increased. Industrial and manufacturing production both doing amazing in Tokyo. But generally, let's review the Japanese economy. Tokyo's inflation eased to 2.6%. Core inflation at 2.5%. It's not the Japanese inflation, it's the Tokyo, but still it's important to watch. At the same time, Japanese labor market showed amazing numbers. Unemployment rate fell to 2.3%, while the job to application ratio is still at 1.22%. Amazing strong labor market in Japan, showing that the manufacturing and service sector both are increasing probably, but so that's why they need more labor, they need more employees. Japanese industrial production, on the other hand, fell by 1.6% in July, while the data shows that in August we expect to see to increase of 2.8%. At the same time, we have the market expecting by 0.3% fall in industrial production for September. That means it's mixed signals from the Japanese economic condition, economic growth, while retail sales also doesn't give this such a good signals in both personal and construction sector. Their demand and sales are weak. On the other hand, the Japanese household confidence slightly increased to 34.9 from previous 34.2. Japanese economy showing slightly mixed signals, confirming that while we have some hope on better economic growth, inflation is slowing, but and labor market increasing. So these data are mixed and probably will put the Central Bank of Japan in more cautious condition. Later, after these data, we had some data from Germany. German's import price or import inflation fell by 0.4%. Later, we're going to have the more inflation numbers from Germany, while the retail sales fell by 1.5%. That's amazing surprise or missing the expectation in the German's economy doesn't work so fine. French inflation increased by 0.4%, twice more than previous month in August, while it was slightly less than expectations, but still that sounds slightly weaker data. At the same time, we had Spanish inflation data as well. CPI in Spain was flat after 0.1% fall in July. In August, it was flat. So that's helped the headline inflation to stay steady at 2.7%, while the retail sales increased by 4.7%, slightly less than 6.2% the previous month. In Turkey, unemployment rate fell to 8% from previous 8.4%, which means that somehow this is still high, 8%, but showing some slight progress in Turkish economy. We're going to have more inflation data from European countries, especially from the Germany and Italy so far, and then in what the market focus, but however, that's the market focus. Today is personal income and spending in United States will be the focus of the market, or it will be the this week's most important data to watch. We expect to see both the headline inflation to increase by 0.2% on the monthly scale and help the annual scale at the PC price index to stay at 2.6% unchanged. But core PC price index, which is expected to increase by 0.3%, supposed to increase to 2.9% from previous 2.8%. Generally, these data, even if these, don't forget that personal spendings expected to increase by 0.5% after previous months 0.3%, and personal income also after previous months 0.3% increase. This month expected to increase by 0.4%. Generally, these data says that even if we have no change or no positive surprise in these data, even these numbers confirms that the US inflation still slightly increasing, and with the higher income and spending, while the labor market also is still strong, we should be more careful about the headline surprises of inflations. Even that's why the in Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations, we can see that the 5-year inflation expectations again increased to 3.9% expectations from previous 3.4%. Even 1-year inflation expectations since that unchanged at 4.9%. But generally, the Michigan consumer sentiment expected to slightly fall from previous 61.7 to 58.6. That means that the consumers, while the unemployment rate is fine, is low, and spending is fine, expectations for the economic growth and inflation should be more watched closely. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have the COATS data, CFT numbers. While before that, we're gonna have the GDP data from Canada as well. We shouldn't forget about that. Canadian economy also giving very mixed signals. We don't expect to see any specific changes, especially changes in Canada. Today, we're gonna have the COATS numbers. Don't forget about especially the long-term traders and professional traders. They are usually taking care about the COATS numbers. Don't forget to hold with your eyes on these data and cold data. So far in stock market, S&P 500 printed new record high above 6,500, while the gold also at the same time increased above 3,420. I haven't thought even today it slightly fell, but generally the gold also was amazing. That supported the positive stock increase, supported the oil and energy prices as well. Oil price also above $64, increasing. By the same time, the dollar index still somehow moving slightly around 98, slightly lower or slightly higher, waiting for today's inflation data. Well, on the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin again after slightly increase fell under around 110, under 110,000 earlier today, and so we have still verified that level around 109,000 US dollar. We should wait and see what's going to happen for that. That was what's happened today and what we are expecting from economic calendar. Have a good day. Bye bye.